Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
Parents are being warned tonight about a common chemical found in many plastics.
University of Minnesota studies show it might be linked to language delays in children, where they learn to speak words at a slower rate. Valley News Team's Katie Opperly spoke with the researcher behind this study.
This family of chemicals has an effect, even in pregnancy, on potentially long-term health outcomes.
A team of researchers at the University of Minnesota has the goal of looking at the effects of the chemical called phthalates found in plastics.
We think this is an issue with hormones, and hormones primarily are regulated by the brain.
So they began to look at how exposure to this chemical is altering brain function, specifically in children, like language delays.
What we observed was the higher the phthalate level, the more likely they were to be language delayed.
One large problem is there's a reason this chemical is often called the everywhere chemical. Oftentimes, people think of food containers when they consider the dangers of plastic. You should keep that in mind, but also consider things like shampoos and lotions. The FDA includes food containers, personal hygiene products, and dozens of others on the list of things containing phthalates. But there is some good news.
Low chemical exposure is associated with childhood development. However, it's important to know that these things can change over time. There is early intervention, and there are ways to reduce chemical exposure.
So they're looking at how reducing chemical exposure and working with these children to help improve these language delays can turn things around. Ruby says the main goal of this study is to educate and move forward based on what they're able to learn. In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
The researchers are also continuing to monitor the children from their studies to see if their physical growth and other health factors are being impacted.
Some flurries here and there tonight, making the sidewalks and roads icy. Hutch, are we expecting a lot of accumulation this evening?
No, really just a dusting for most locations, measured in 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch. It's moving across the Red River Valley right now into parts of western Minnesota, and it is coating the roads with a slick layer out there, so give yourself some extra time and distance to stop. Teens moving into the Devil's Lake Basin, but everyone else holding on to 20s for now. That batch of snow will exit, but a new band of snow will develop in north-central North Dakota tomorrow as cold air gets ready to spill into the valley. I'll have the flaky and chilly details in your midweek forecast here in just a couple of minutes.
All right, look forward to that. Thanks.
An old scam is circulating again in this area. The Cass County Sheriff's Office says businesses and people are getting calls from what looks to be the Minnesota Police Task Force, and the caller is looking for donations. The number looks like it's from a local 218 area code, but that's because the scammers are using a caller ID spoof tactic. It's the season of giving, so the scammers are hoping you fall for it. But authorities say don't give away your money because this one is not a legitimate fundraiser.
There's a new game being played in schools that could be dangerous to your child.
It's called necking, and while some might think it's a funny prank, parents are saying it's harmful and they're sick of it happening to their kids.
Tonight, Valley News Team's Melanie Palmer joins us in the studio with more about what necking is and what schools are doing about it. Melanie?
Andrea, Mike, this isn't anything like what was done a couple of generations ago. This kind of necking is when a student slaps another student or karate chops them at the base of their neck and then runs away. And for some students, it's far from fun. One parent posted on a Grand Forks-based Facebook page saying they want the school to stop it from happening. School officials tell us some kids think of it as goofing around and don't fully understand the harm it could have on another student. We talked with some schools in the valley to see if this is an ongoing problem in our area. A Grand Forks school district official told me it's becoming a trend at several of their schools, adding that the administration is working to put a stop to it. That includes disciplinary action if a student is hurt. Depending on the circumstances, a student could even be suspended for necking another student. The official with Grand Forks Public Schools also says they are working on educating students to act appropriately and teach them consequences of their actions. In one case, a parent posted on Facebook that their child developed bruises from necking. Andrea, Mike?
All right, thanks, Melanie. We also reached out to the Fargo, West Fargo, and Moorhead Public School systems to ask about necking. Fargo and Moorhead Public Schools told us it's not an issue in their districts. It was a larger issue last year in West Fargo schools, not so much this school year.
From students struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts to addiction and impulse control, schools are scrambling to address the growing need for mental health services. Larger school districts in the area have a team of counselors, social workers, psychologists, but it's different at smaller schools. In Northern Cass, they have 3 counselors for 630 students. So the district and others are teaming up with the United Way and the Burgum Foundation, which provides licensed therapists who visit several times a week. Teachers say the move helps the students now and in the future.
If we can address the mental health things that happen in our students' lives, even at a really young age, if we can give them the stability and the support right now, I don't think we're going to have to deal with as many addiction issues later on in their life.
The Northern Cass School Superintendent says he hopes each rural school district will have its own therapist on site every day.
People in Lisbon, North Dakota say vandalism in their small town is getting worse. The latest includes Christmas light wires being cut and spray paint on buildings. Lisbon's police chief says there's been an increase in vandalism over the last 5 to 6 weeks. She says different people are involved, but without any witnesses or cameras, they haven't been able to catch the vandals. If you have any information, call police.
There's a high-risk sex offender living in Devil's Lake the police want you to be aware of. They say Rodney Motto is now living at 225 West Walnut Street. He is described as 5 feet 10 inches, American Indian with black hair and brown eyes. He was convicted of a crime against someone younger than 15 years old. He must register for a lifetime.
A family is desperate for answers after their dog was found dead. Even more upsetting, how the dog was killed.
And now they, along with Polk County, Wisconsin authorities, are searching for those responsible for the heinous crime. Lou Raguse reports.
All week.
Everyone in Maxine Floor's family is a dog person, and that includes her son Matthew Murphy and his family.
Before Russell came, my son and daughter-in-law had all the dog pictures on the wall. That was their family.
And when their son Russell came along, he became best friends with their lab mix Sally.
That dog was everything. My grandson grew up with Sally.
Then one night last month, the dog had to go out and never came home.
Early the next morning, Matt found Sally's body along this ditch. And another 100 yards that way, on the other side, he found Sally's collar.
Sally had a gunshot wound in her hindquarters, and her hide skinned along each rib cage. Maxine believes in an attempt to remove her ID microchip.
Ruthless, cold-hearted.
Whether it's your family member or your dog killed, that's a traumatic event to a family, that's a traumatic event to a community. So you have to take it seriously because that affects how people feel safe in their homes.
The Polk County Sheriff's Office is investigating, but needs a tip, as Maxine just wants her grandson to get answers.
And he says, Grandma, I just can't stop thinking about it. I just said, you know, Russell, Grandma believes that all family pets who are loved and take care of their masters, they go to a special place. I said, Sally's okay.
Police are hoping that locals from the area will come forward with information on whoever killed Sally.
If you hear some loud noises near the old City Hall tomorrow and Thursday, don't be alarmed. Fargo police say that there's going to be a large police presence outside as well. The Red River Regional SWAT team is going to be training at that building tomorrow from noon until 8 tomorrow night, and then again on Thursday, December 6th, from 8 in the morning until 10 p.m. Police say that there will be some bangs, what they call explosive breaching, during the training.
Today is the 3rd day of Hanukkah, and to celebrate, a lighting ceremony was held at Fargo's Civic Center earlier this evening. Hanukkah began this year on Sunday and will end on Monday, December 10th. The celebration of lights recalls the victory of the Jewish people who defeated the Syrian Greek gods that had overrun ancient Israel and desecrated the temple and oils prepared for the lighting of the menorah, which was part of the daily service. The Jewish people discovered 1 jar of oil left, enough to burn for 1 day, but it lasted for 8. In commemoration, Jews celebrate Hanukkah for 8 days by lighting a menorah.
I think it's a beautiful to be able to carry on the Jewish tradition in North Dakota, which goes back to the founding of the state, and to be able to continue that is just wonderful.
After the ceremony, attendees enjoyed live music, holiday treats, and arts and crafts.
The results of a new study may have you asking your dentist about the painkiller that's being used on your kids. Details later on Valley News Live at 10.
A sighting of the sun as we closed out our Tuesday here across the valley, but clouds built back in as we head toward the night hours. A dash of flaky weather causing some slippery streets. Another round of snow and cold heading our way. Details in your forecast are next.